So, Andrew, we have a special guest today.
We do.
Who
We
is our
do.
special guest
Our,
today?
our special guest today is an old friend, Micah Babinski.
Welcome,
Anybody
Micah.
anybody know who Micah is? Anybody ever heard the tune "The Afternoon at the Green Monster"? Yeah, so Micah is the composer of that tune. And Micah is coming out with an all new collection of pipe music shortly. And he sent us a message like, hey, I want to come on the dojo and chat about this project that he's got going on. And so that's what he's going to do. I've known Micah since we were younger people. When I was in the SFU pipe band, Micah and I overlapped in the SFU pipe band for, I think, a year. We were trying to figure it out. But he also played with RMM2 and Triumph Street Pipe Band, and then maybe took a break. And now you're back. And I heard Micah play at the Silver Medal. I was judging him. Imagine that. I was judging him at the Silver Medal, and he almost won the thing. I think he
In
was,
Kansas City, nevertheless, right?
yeah, I think he
Yeah.
came on like first or second in
Yeah,
the,
first on in the morning.
you were first on in the morning, and it was like, whoa, Mike is back. He's crushing it. And if it weren't for Joe Biggs, I think you would have won it because you were second, right?
I was fourth.
Oh, you were fourth. Okay. Now you know where I had you then.
But we'll go with that. Yeah.
I forget who, honestly forget. I forget most of it. I remember how good Joe was because he was so good.
Yeah.
And I remember how good you were. Who else would have been on the list? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
But very good. Micah, tell us what's going on with your new project. Tell us a little bit about it.
The book is here. I don't know. Shoot, with the blurring my background, let me turn that effect off and I can show you. I actually have the book. This is my book. It's my first tune collection. It's called the Green Monster Collection.
Can we
And
see
it
the
is a
book
book
again?
of, what's that?
Can we see it again? I made you big on the screen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got, I know the exact number. It's got 56 tunes, and they're tunes for mostly bagpipes. There are some whistle tunes if you like whistle. There's one tune, I also play mandolin. So there's one tune that you could play on the mandolin or the fiddle. And I wrote the majority of the tunes, although a few of my friends, mostly from here on the West Coast where I live, submitted tunes for it as well. If anybody here knows Zephin Nickel, he's got a few tunes in there. We're buddies. My friend Shane Smith, who's my oldest friend in piping, who has written several great tunes that have been picked up by bands and soloists, has some tunes in there as well. But it's got 56 tunes in all. It's got a little bit of my piping story, and it's the representation of 20 plus years of composing tunes. And so I'm really excited about it. And I've sold a good number of books to friends face to face. But yeah, I just wanted to get the word out, share it with anybody who's a fan of the tune Afternoon of the Green Monster, which is probably my best known tune, but also to let folks know that, yeah, there's lots of other tunes and great music that I've written, that friends of mine have written, that I would be very excited to share with folks.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what is the story behind the Green Monster? When did you write it?
Yeah, so I think I was like 13 or 14. Yeah, so I was a teenager. I saw that question. And
It'll
I
be
used
interesting to
to,
see. Sorry to interrupt you, Micah.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see if you know the correct history of this tune.
exactly. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, so there's a bagpipe camp here in British Columbia called Piping Hot Summer Drummer. Probably some of you have heard or probably been there. And they have a tune writing contest every year. I submitted a tune, I think twice, and the first time I got an honorable mention for a jig called Year of Fortune, which is in the book. And then the second year that I did it, I wrote a tune called Afternoon of the Green Monster, which is an energetic hornpipe. I could play it for you, I just have to dig out my practice channel, but it's an energetic hornpipe, and it ended up co-winning the contest. So there was two winners that year. It was Afternoon of the Green Monster, and it was a tune called "Don't Stop Rockin'" by a Canadian named Pat Lapoitevin. And his tune "Don't Stop Rockin'" is in the book as well. Two co-winners. I was very excited, and it's opened my eyes to this idea like, oh yeah, there's only 9 notes on the bagpipes, but there's a lot of new musical ideas that can be conjured up and brought together. So it was very exciting. That tune's in the book. If folks are interested in the story of the title Afternoon of the Green Monster, I'd be happy to share.
Yeah, we want to hear that too.
Yes, please.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so there's a common misconception that it refers to various things, like the concept of envy is often referred to as the green monster, or there is I think it's like the left field wall at some baseball stadium, Fenway,
Ooh,
maybe. Anyway,
yes.
so I'm from Oakland, California. And in Oakland, there's a lake called Lake Merritt, which is a man-made lake, but it's really beautiful. It's right next to downtown Oakland. And that's where I grew up and went to elementary school. And there's a sort of modern art. Actually, I'll put a link. I put a link that shows what I'm talking about here. There's a structure that's like half modern art, half play structure that is called colloquially the Green Monster. Its official name is the Mid-Century Monster. And so you can see a picture of it there on that link that I gave. And it's a place that kids would play on and dig in the sand and push each other off of. And it was just a really fun, like meaningful place to me. And it's right next to this beautiful lake. There's all kinds of water birds there. And so I wrote the tune Afternoon of the Green Monster, just about childhood and fun and growing up and learning to be a person in the world.
Very
I mean,
cool.
it's interesting. I feel like you have 80% of the tune's history correct.
Okay. What am I missing?
What you're missing is there was a certain individual on the team of 3 people that selected the winners of those tune competitions. Do you know who the 3 people are?
Oh gosh. I know is Alan Bevan's one of them, right?
Nope, not at
Oh,
that time.
oh, okay. I
You
have
might
no
be
idea.
interested. You might be interested to know how I know this. The 3 people were at the time, and we did this for several years. Danny Miller was one of them.
Okay.
Stuart Little was the other one, and then I was the third one.
Oh, nice.
And I was a big advocate of your tune. I thought I'm not. This is actually a total lie, but yeah, I was so pissed off when they decided to tie the competition. Oh man, because no, but
Thank you,
yes,
Andrew.
we did those. We did those, and whenever someone says "Afternoon at the Green Monster," I always raise my hand and say, "I'm the reason that tune's so famous."
That is awesome. And if I could just share too, because
Joking, of course, joking.
you're right. Yeah. So the tune won the contest, and it was awesome because it appeared in the music book that they gave to students in subsequent years. And the tune just gained some popularity. A couple of bands started playing it. I think if you look up some Jack Lee bagpipe videos, there's a prominent video of Jack playing this tune. And he was a great fan and supporter of it. And I'm really appreciative of Jack Lee for that. He actually wrote the foreword to the book and talks about the tune. But I got this growing sense that this is the only tune of mine that people know. I think there was even a year at Piping Hot where the theme for the tunes or the composers in the book was one hit wonders. And Afternoon of the Green
Oh
Monster
no.
was in the one hit wonders book. And I heard that, I was like, oh no, this cannot be. And I think that planted, because I never stopped writing tunes from there. I've written, like I said, tunes steadily, not at a huge volume. I don't have hundreds of tunes. Pretty much the tunes that you see in the book are it, plus maybe 6 or 8 that I've written since I started working on the book. But it planted the seed of the idea of, oh, I should make a book. And I've been sitting on that idea for a couple of years. But I was actually at the Celtic Arts Foundation Winter School here in the Northwest, and there was an instructor there named Finley McDonald who recently came out with a book. I actually have my copy here. It's called the Finley McDonald Crofthead Collection. Really good book. He writes some real bangers, some real great tunes. And he was talking about his book and saying that he told me that he had the idea and then procrastinated on actually doing it for a number of years. I won't say how many. But then I thought, I have an idea for a book. I don't need to procrastinate for that number of years. So that was back in February, and now I have the book. So I'm really excited about it.
Cool. Excellent.
Very neat. And where can folks get this book?
Okay, so somewhat complicated answer. If you like to buy from piping retailers, like my vision was, oh, I'll just make the book and then something will happen and then people will be able to buy it. So I failed to anticipate the whole e-commerce side of it. But if you like buying things from piping retailers, I can say Piper's Hut and Tartan Town will both carry it. Now, I think their shipments to one arrives like today and the other one arrives like tomorrow. There may be a couple of other retailers that will buy it as well, but because I appreciate you all listening to me talk about the book and everything. If you're interested, I have a Google form that I've made. It doesn't ask for any kind of sensitive financial info, just your name and address and contact. What I'll do is I'll put a link to the Google form, and you can basically fill that out, I'll get back to you via email and I'll say I'll ship you a book. Shipping is usually $6 to $8, but I'm selling the book for 25. So you can fill that out and then I'll have your contact info and you can buy it directly from me.
That's 50 cents a tune right there.
Exactly.
Pretty
Nice.
good. It's a pretty good price.
And they'll just send money via PayPal or something like that.
Yep, I do the PayPal, Venmo,
Excellent.
and then I'm happy to share my address too if you want to just mail me a check.
Perfect. There you go. You got that link down there, everybody. If you're interested in
Yeah.
the Afternoon at the Green Monster, and more importantly, all of the other tunes in the
Tunes
book.
which I think have surpassed Afternoon of the Green Monster. I don't know. I love and also hate Afternoon of the Green Monster because for so long it was like people would
The
refer to it as
only.
they'd say, "Oh, Micah, I love your tune." And I was like, "There's more. I want to tell people there's more." So the book is an effort to dispel the idea that I'm a one-hit wonder. It's all insecurity based.
That's great. That's really neat that you took the time to put that together and get it out there because I think a lot of people don't ever bother. And
Sure.
it's important to get it out there.
I
Yeah.
was doing some research. So Ryan Praskovich was second at the silver medal,
Oh, okay.
and then Rob Bruce was third.
Oh yeah, Rob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've reconnected with him since he and I are both solo competitors, no band guys.
Yeah. And you also took a long break and now you're back.
That's right. Yeah, we
So
bonded over that.
I do vaguely remember this now. Yeah. That's a long day judging the old silver medal.
I'm
But
sure.
Is it
yeah, I
safe to
do
say that you'll be
remember.
back there this year, Micah?
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, maybe I could ask, does anybody know when the signups are? Because it was like October
October
1st.
1st.
October
Is
1st.
it's always October 1st?
I'm pretty darn sure that's when it is this year. I don't know if it
Okay.
I think
always
it
is.
was just re-announced. Yeah, I just saw it on our forums this
Oh, I'm
morning.
glad to know that. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the calendar. I'm gonna do my best. It's always like a mad rush to get signed up for Winter
Oh, you're gonna
Storm.
have to either stay up late or get up early again to
Yeah,
get on that
yeah,
list. Yeah.
yeah. No, I'll do my best. So yeah, hopefully see you all there.
Excellent.
Interesting.
There'll definitely be some students hanging out there. We have our workshop just before, and then they come. And so, folks, if you see Micah, go introduce yourself when after he's competed. You guys know the good etiquette, right? All right.
So Micah, the Friday show is a time where students can ask any question they want to know about playing the bagpipes, and they do it on this little voting platform, and people can upvote the questions and so on. And it's a unique class because even if myself or Carl could honestly care less about the subject matter at all, where we would normally refuse to answer such questions, we on Fridays we're obligated. That's just, I don't know, that's my little joke. I didn't pull it off this week. Okay, but now that, because you're here and because we're here, we thought we would have you sit in and help us answer some of these questions.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then
All right.
yeah, the first
Before
question
we
only
get
has
started.
the first question only has 10 votes. That's pathetic, you guys. There's 29 people here and the top question only has 10 votes. So
Yeah.
what do they need to do, Carl?
Hypersdojo.com/ADA. Please go
Yeah.
there now, folks. Add your questions and vote for the questions and keep Andrew happy. Lots of votes equals happy Andrew, and we get better answers when Andrew's happy, right? Maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Nah, not really. Nah.
So we'll let this one slide because there's only 10 votes, but we'll start there,
Okay.
which is how much of your bagpipe equipment would you expect your band to supply, aka drone reeds, pipe bags, chanters, etc.
There you go. I can say that I can start off by saying I've played in many different bands that handled this in many different ways. I remember fairly clearly being handed a set of Kinnaird drone reeds by Jack and Terry back like when we switched away from Kane drone reeds. It would have been in like the year, I don't know, 2003 or something like that, where they handed me that. And the SFU pipe band, they also gave you your new sheepskin bag. It might have been every year. That might have been like how hardcore they were. I don't really quite remember. And so on. And then playing in a band like Inverary, you're just on your own. It's basically that simple, with the exception of the chanter and the chanter reed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's usually the minimum, but it goes further than that, Andrew, doesn't it? You get a bag cover. What about the cords?
You do get a bag cover. As for I don't remember the cords are just blue. I don't know.
You probably just got some, yeah.
I probably just had blue cords. What color were the Oran Moore cords?
I think they were blue.
Yeah, so those guaranteed, those are still the Oran Moore chords. And then the bag covers, we do occasionally get new ones, but I just haven't switched mine at any point since joining the band. I just have the same. And so there's that. And then what do we do in Oran Moore, Carl? Did we give people their reeds? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we gave them the chanter reeds and chanters. Drone reeds,
Can't remember.
sometimes.
I think we had a mixture.
We had a mixture, and some folks we'd give out a bass drone from JC or sometimes, but no, most of us provided an instrument, pipes. The bags were given by the band, and then drone reeds were usually up to the player, but then cover and chords also from the band.
How about you, Micah? Any thoughts?
I can say the last pipe band that I played in, which was 2018, so it's been a while, but I did just the Week of the Worlds with the Prince Charles Pipe Band from San Francisco playing in grade two. They just I showed up at the dorms at Murano Street Village. They just handed me a full set of pipes. So,
Nice.
so that was
Wow.
like all inclusive. I think they didn't care for the pipes that I had. So that's fine. I would have rather played my own. But yeah, I think generally speaking, depending on, like you said, the how particular they might be about different pieces of the gear, they might give you a new bag. Most like cosmetic things, the cords and the bag cover, if it gets like tattered or faded, they'll probably give you a new one. But yeah, I think definitely chanter reed, probably drone reeds, as I can recall. They'll at least want you to standardize on drone reeds, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The real question here is, right? There's a real secret question embedded in this question. Dave knows what it is. Dave, you know what it is. Dave, hit us with the real question. We all know what this question is. Exactly. What about the drummers? The drummers get all their drums and their heads and their sticks and their harnesses all provided by the band.
And the uniform. Yep.
Exactly. And even though their instrument has no pitch, there's no such thing as really tuning it. Okay, I'm being sarcastic now. But even though it has no pitch and there's no such thing as tuning it and so on, they still need to change their heads like 8 times a year. And then there's always a new batch of sticks. And then here's a follow-up question to which I actually don't know the answer to, but do tenor drummers have to buy their sticks?
Usually not.
So all of it gets provided for the drum corps, like literally everything.
Yeah,
And
instrument included.
Yeah,
Well, it depends on your band. There are some military bands that they issue you a set of Macallan bagpipes and they give you literally everything as a piper.
Yeah. What's
But we
interesting
tend
about
not
this?
to.
All right, to take this to less of a sarcastic, Micah's sweating over there because he's associated with this, but this is normal. This is actually pretty mild for me. But in more seriousness, though, would have like Micah, you mentioned someone gave you a set of pipes once, and like you would have preferred to just play your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all jokes aside, I think people want to play their own instrument that they're comfortable on and that they're going to get set up the way that they like to get it set up. So there's something to be said for that.
I wouldn't be opposed to somebody handing me a set of pipes that's been being played regularly, ready to go, perfect. Let's do it. Sure. I'll put my own blow stick on it so it's the right size, but
Have you ever
why
played
not?
someone else's? Have you ever played someone else's pipes though?
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's so much different than my pipes. And I
Yeah,
usually don't enjoy it. Yeah.
I feel like it's always way different in one direction. Either it's, whoa, these pipes are so much more comfortable and easier to play. What am I doing with my life? Or
Right.
it's, oh, good Lord, how am I supposed to play these for 15 or 20 minutes or whatever I'm being
Yeah.
asked to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, you are the most famous person and like the most famous bagpiper anyone ever talks about. And your pipes are like so hard to play. What is going on with this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Who wouldn't want to
meanwhile,
play
like
these?
I also remember meanwhile, one day someone handed me Terry's pipes to play for some reason,
Yep.
like during a band practice. And let's just say Jack and Terry, they did not play the same strength bagpipe that they encourage the young people to play. I'm just gonna put it out there. It was a different kind of thing. I think I shut all the drones off when I struck in.
Yeah, I know because the year that I traveled to Scotland with the SFU pipe band, I was cut from the Worlds on Thursday. Of course, I was devastated, but I got to play Terry's pipes while the band warmed up. And so I know what you're talking about there,
Oh,
Andrew.
did
They
you
were
like, am I right? They were like not as difficult as the ones we were supposed to play. Is
that
this,
does ring a bell. Yeah.
I feel like that's a, I've been in grade one bands a long time. I feel like it's less of a it's more about trust, right? Because the easier the bagpipe is, the more difficult it is to control, probably. And so I think as you get more trustworthy and battle worn as a player, you could be trusted to not blow a super hard reed. I think that's probably more of what it is. Because when I was a kid in the SFU pipe band, it was like intense.
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. And
Yeah.
it was uphill both ways, to and from band practice. Okay, next question. With 10 votes, I won't say I'm not a little disappointed, but all right, blowing and squeezing, there's a cadence of sorts. And then this person says mental blowing anomalies. Now, for Micah's reference, at the dojo, those are like blowing surges. So we'll call them,
Usually caused by, something in the
yeah,
music.
but we'll call them like blowing surges usually happen in the fourth part of tunes. I lose my wind or lip seal, and I feel like I can't catch up. And we're looking for some help on this. Thoughts? Any takers? So just basically getting tired at the end of tunes.
Yeah. Why would we get tired at the end of the fourth part?
I feel like if
That's
I
a
said
little of the
something, I feel like if I said something like "suck it up, Buttercup," like that would not be constructive or helpful. So maybe you guys have some more productive advice.
Yeah, for me, this begs the question immediately, like, to this person, Brett, because you put your name on it, but others out there as well. What is it about the fourth part? Is it the length of time before that? Or is it something in the music at that point? And here's a great way to test that. Play on your practice chanter the first three parts and time it. What is it, like a minute 20 or something? It's going to depend on the tune, but time it out and then get up on the pipes and play low A for that same length and see if there's a difference. My guess is there will be. It'll be perfectly fine after that same length of time, just playing something simple like low A. So then what is it? Is it a question of cadence? Like the blowing and the squeezing, do you fall out of the correct rhythm? Does that skill break down over time? You end up fighting yourself, and therefore you're tired by the time you get to the fourth part. That's possible. Or is it maybe that the third part's particularly hard, the fourth part's hard, and you struggle because of what's going on in the music? But these are going to be personal answers, right? It's not going to be the same for everybody. But we definitely want to be asking these questions. What is it about it? But like any issue, let's see if we can test it in a variety of ways and get to a simple answer. Eliminate different variables.
I think, why do you lose your lip seal?
I think we're onto something with the cadence. We're fighting ourselves maybe with the blowing at some point.
Maybe the lip seal that always makes me suspicious. Like
you're going to stick your finger in your mouth
I'm going to stick my
quickly.
finger in my mouth again. But like the lip seal, right? There's only one reason you're going to lose the seal with your lip, which is that your lips get wet. Right? And there's really only two ways your lips are going to get wet while you're playing the pipes, right? Like number one is maybe sweat, but if you're just getting to the fourth part of one tune, you shouldn't be sweating that much. Like maybe on a 90-degree day, like it can become treacherous. But the real reason we lose the lip seal is usually that you let the wet part of your lip touch the blowpipe, right? And then as soon as you do that, you're in trouble. If you wanted to, you don't have to, but you could stick your finger in your mouth and you could see that your lip has like a dry part. And then there's a certain line on your lip that crosses over into the wet part of your lip. And so when you're gripping the blow stick, you have to make sure that only the dry part ever comes in contact with the blowpipe, because once the wet part hits, you're going to be in trouble.
That's way harder to seal, no matter how strong your lips are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Micah, thoughts?
Oh, I'm a very sweaty and a very just moist person when it comes to drooling and stuff like that. So I know what Brett is talking about, but I would take a look at the air efficiency. I'm sure you all do this. Try to think of your bagpipes with a plumber's mentality, looking at all the seals, all the slides, all the reeds seated well, reeds operating at like peak efficiency, so you're getting good sound without taking too much air. And I'm sure probably most of you have all done that, but sometimes you let a little time go by, maybe 6 or 8 months or longer, and it could be
6 or
worth
8
another,
weeks.
yeah, it could be worth another checkup. reeds get jostled, or just the act of playing drone reeds, I think can sometimes maybe make the bridles shift a little bit. These are like my own little theories, but could be worth checking through the bag. Is the bag need to be some seasoning, or maybe there's some leaks or little efficiencies that could be improved? And then, so that's one factor. And then in terms of it being the fourth part, I was thinking about this with my own like competition playing, is like listening to recordings of myself playing like March Strathspey reel type tunes. A lot of times my expression in the fourth part is not as good as it is in the first part. And just because of the nature of how I think about and work on tunes, a lot of times more attention gets paid to the early parts of my sets. And so
Mhm.
those fourth parts sometimes get the short shrift. So what I sometimes do, and what I need to do more often, is play a tune. I'll maybe start with the fourth part, or if the third part's tricky, play the third part, fourth part, and then back to the beginning. Or somebody put the suggestion of just playing the whole darn thing twice through, which I love that. I really like playing my stuff twice through just to get that. And then once you can get through it all without those lips getting giving out and without feeling super fatigued, man, it's a great feeling because you just feel, okay, I've really got my arms wrapped around this thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the way, I love that was going to be exactly what my practical tip was going to be, is like start with the fourth part and then go into the tune again. When I used to play a lot of solos, that's almost always how the structure of my playing session would go, right? It's, oh, I have a problem spot. And it could have been a problem because of memory. It could have been a problem because of technical difficulty or whatever. And in this case, Brett, I think I agree. My educated guess is the tune is getting difficult at the end.
Yeah.
And so you're losing focus on the blowing, and you're probably starting to gasp for air and you're not as relaxed anymore. And then the train starts to come off the tracks. So that's the problem, right? At the beginning of your session, make sure you practice that problem spot quite a bit. We want to get to the point where the tune is playable without everything falling apart. But then also, yeah, start the tune there, right? I think playing the third part and fourth part and continuing back right back into the tune seamlessly. So it's almost like you're playing a six-parted march, right? But play 3/4, 1, 2, 3/4. Make that like the thing that you do, right? So that should increase your stamina a little bit. It'll also give you extra reps on the more difficult part, right? And then it'll make it so when you just play 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll seem easy.
Yeah.
It's like when you lift weights and you go really heavy and then you go back to a lighter weight again at the end. That doesn't seem like any big deal. Alan Bevan told me once that, and he might be doing this right now because he'll be playing in the Glenfiddich in about a month. But yeah, when I go to Inverness a few weeks before Inverness, I just start playing all of my tunes twice through. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And then I realized, wait, he's talking about his P-rocks, right? If my pipes will stay in tune for twice through, I know they'll stay in tune for once through. And yeah, Alan he just plays P-rocks twice through. Like when he goes
And,
back to the ground at the end, he just keeps going another
Keeps
full
going.
rep.
and he's probably got six for Glenfiddich. You probably need to submit like six tunes or something,
Oh
right?
yeah. I'm just gonna do it. And by the way, if my pipes can stay in tune for a quick 6-hour practice session, who knows if they still like that
Yeah.
was a
You were
lot.
doing the math there.
Yeah, that's so much.
He told
That's
me,
two plus hours of P Rock probably
It
easily.
would be.
in fairness, he told me that a really long time ago. So it's maybe because he's like a lawyer now and he has a family and probably maybe wants to like relax and enjoy himself every now and then. So maybe he doesn't still do it. Or maybe he never did it and was just winding me up. So just keep all of that in mind. But yeah, so Brett, try that 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do that a couple times each practice session and give it a week and then see if there's any improvement. I think that's a big thing, right? Like you get that in pipe bands as well. It's like the opening few parts of an MSR. You usually don't want to like jump to any conclusions about how good the band is until they get into the later parts. And it's, oh, is this still good? Or have they just done the intro 10,000 times compared to the rest of the set like 100 times?
I
Or is
love
the
listening to the first two parts of a pipe band MSR. It's always so good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say sometimes it's a crapshoot because the first two parts nobody's paying attention or anything. They're trying to get into the circle and it's no good. And then it gets better like when they're in the circle until they get to the end and then they lose focus again. But yeah, it does depend.
All right. Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah, we are.
All right. Are certain idioms more amenable to simplification in solos? Presumably meaning solo competition. Like converting a D throw or a doubling to a simple grace note in a reel versus in a 2/4 march. So we're talking
Hmm.
about taking the setting and simplifying it a little bit. What are our thoughts?
I think that's probably true. You would get away with it easier in a reel, certainly a jig or a hornpipe, more than a 2/4 march. 2/4 march, it's got to be played this way. Like that's if you want to win, that's got to be it. Which is sometimes it's a stupid idea, but it also supports competition in keeping it fair. But yeah, you'd probably get away with it in a reel more easily than a 2/4 march.
So
That's my thought.
what is it that's stupid?
That we can't simplify and still be competitive. But it's not necessarily stupid. There's a good reason for it, I think.
What do you think, Micah?
I don't know. I think, especially with really well-known tunes, there seems to be a pretty strict mentality about inclusion of all the little technical bits in these competition tunes. But really, knowing which setting to play and what's appropriate, and making sure I get all the right execution, that's a big part of the reason why I take lessons and I work with a teacher to help me guide through, okay, what setting am I playing? Because sometimes I'll get a setting right out of a Willie Ross book or a Donna McLeod book and I'll play it for my teacher and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I thought I was doing the right thing." And so help me out here. So my initial reaction is like, generally speaking, you'd want to find or listen to a knowledgeable player and pretty much stick pretty close to that setting. But playing for fun or like what I call folk piping, and it's actually something I'm trying to set up a teaching practice around, is simplifying, converting, and varying how you play tunes is like not only allowed but encouraged. It's part of
Yeah.
that folk piping tradition is varying and adding like diversity to how you play the tunes. You might play a tune once through with a D throw and then the second time with a strike with a grace note and then a strike or something like that. And that's considered like really fun and exciting way to play that kind of music. But competition, I would personally try to stick pretty close to whatever setting my teacher has me playing.
It gets you to the point where if you want to win, you have to play by the rules. And that's what I mean by is stupid. But it's the way it is. If you want to win, if you want to be competitive, you've got to stick by the rules that other people set.
Yeah, I think so. That's part of the like the competition playing tradition. It's yeah, this is how we've all agreed we're going to do it. That's my approach. I'm curious to hear
Yeah.
what you have to say, Andrew.
Yeah, I think these are all good thoughts. I think that I feel like you could approach this a couple of different ways. So are the embellishments, let's say we have a 2/4 march, right? And there's some embellishments in there that are important, right? And the question is like, why are they important? And the answer should hopefully be something along the lines of, oh, this is the most musical like iteration of this melody, has this
Mm.
set of embellishments in it. And then we hear it over and over again. We hear Callum do it, we hear Stuart Little do it, we hear Jack do it twice through at the Glenfiddich, which is an interesting musical choice in itself, right? Anyway, we hear them do it and then we like it, right? And then someone else comes along and they take a bunch of them out. Presumably, like in the spirit of this question, presumably you're taking a bunch of them out because it's hindering the execution of the tune. So maybe that was the best choice for you, but if everything else being equal, right? Conceptually, the way that Callum and Stuart Little are playing it is a better version of the tune than the way you're playing it conceptually, right? And you've made a good choice for you, but like now if we're going to compare the two,
Right.
the one with that ideal set of embellishments would theoretically be better. So like that would be what is the right word? Quantitative. That would be like a potential quantitative explanation for the risks and benefits of simplification. And then the next thing I would say is, as Sally said, at the lower level, an odd bit of simplification will help. And I think the key word is just the odd thing, right? So if we're taking out a little E doubling here and there, because at the moment you're just not playing it clean, right? So if you take out one or two E doublings, it's not going to be a big deal. And the judge might either notice it, they might consider it a miss, right? But if it just happens every now and then, it's not going to be a big deal. And then if there's rampant simplification, it will be. And I think that what Micah and Carl were suggesting is a perfectly good explanation for that. It's just, this is how the tune is traditionally expected to go. Another closely related thing to this is also why, although I don't know, things are changing, but it's also why you probably wouldn't play Afternoon at the Green Monster at Oban and Inverness in your hornpipe jig. And it's not because you can't play round hornpipes or something like that. It's just there's also a certain set of tunes that you're expected to work from. And that points to the tradition of solo playing. Like, it's a big set, but you don't go outside the set usually because it's outside the set.
Yeah. And it's
Because
usually not in your favor to go outside the set
so the reason
until it is.
the reason you don't simplify is, I think, because
Yeah.
like there is a
Very
tradition, there is a
articulate.
tradition there. There's a tradition there, and it's, to Micah's point, it's an unspoken thing. Sometimes you're doing something and you go to your teacher. Like, I think it's such a great point. Like, I could play like Donald McLeod, greatest composer ever. He's the best. We love Donald McLeod. And then, okay, cool. So I'm just going to take a tune out of his book and play it exactly as written. And everybody knows you can't do that, right? Because that's not how they play the tune anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of tunes in the book in the Green Monster collection that I think would be appropriate, would like stylistically fit in like a hornpipe jig competition. And I've actually submitted them and I get them picked, not infrequently. I had this sense though that if and what my teacher told me was like, yeah, submitting because in the pro class where I live, you submit 3 hornpipes and 3 jigs. And my teacher said, yeah, maybe like submitting one of each, a tune that you write would be okay. But I wouldn't overload that. And then the thing is, when judges pick them, what I'm finding is that I think they expect them to be perfect. And I'm often not playing them perfectly, but that's my own issue. But I wanted to say that with that in mind, maybe don't submit them for your competition, but you are all free to simplify any tunes that I write. Play them in whatever way is most comfortable for you, free of judgment. And you've heard that from me. And then the last thing I wanted to pick up on, Andrew, was something you said about the settings. And if you look at a composer's tune out of their book and how sometimes it's like there's a lot of mistakes, or it'll
Yeah.
feel like that. And I can say, having worked with a guy named Lauren McDougall, who did the typesetting and the book design for my book, the revision process is really tricky because you're talking about a lot of tunes and a lot of little details, so many little grace notes, doublings, and there's copying and pasting happening when you typeset tunes. So we went through many rounds of revisions, and I almost got to the point where it's like, all right, forget it. Like, just leave the mistakes in because there's almost too many mistakes. So I have this theory that Willie Ross or Donna McLeod were working with someone typesetting their stuff, and eventually they were like, I can't be bothered to get every little grace note. So anyway, just want
Yeah.
to throw that out there.
No, I think it's a great point. And I think you're also, with those books, I mean, they were still being pressed. There was no copy and paste back then. And you probably couldn't afford to do that many revisions. So you did the best you could, and then they went to the printer, and maybe the printer screwed it up, but you're not going to pay the $10,000 it costs to fix one bar in the thing. And Dave, nope, you're not allowed to. Nope, nope, nope. Dave, cheater, cheater. No, put your question in the proper queue, please, Dave. And what do you say? Give a thumbs up to Dave's question in the chat if you think he should be able to cheat and not follow the rules. So far, you've got one. It was probably you on your own. Oh, he says thumbs up. All right, fine. Dave wants to know which of your tunes you're the most proud of when hearing it being played or recorded by another band or piper.
Yeah, I haven't really heard that many yet, but being played by other pipers. But here's my son Malcolm wanting to say hi. It's he probably heard me talking. But there's a tune called I Just Like to Shred. And it's got a funny origin, but it's a rockin' tune. And I think when I think about tunes that have gone above and beyond where like Afternoon of the Green Monster went, the tune I Just to Shred in terms of a rock and roll type bagpipe tune is one that like I most enjoy playing and am most excited about.
Nice. Well, That makes me want to get a copy of the book and learn that tune.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Let's see. We got time for some more. Why is the third part always, by the way, this is 6 votes. For shame, you guys. For shame. 6 votes. Why is the third part always the hardest?
Because it's almost always a revision of the first part. And by simple nature, I feel like you make the first part and then to change it, you make it more difficult by adding more things to it. And then same with the fourth part, you add to the second part. That's a very classic way of composing, but I think it holds true. But I'm very curious to hear what you have to say, Micah, having written a fair few tunes there.
Yeah, I think it'll vary by composer. I'm just thinking about like the process of putting tunes together. There's no real one set way. Like I don't always start out with a first part, then a second part goes sequentially. But I think generally speaking, it's like the first part establishes, like draws the listener in. The second part, you're doing some kind of interesting, you're taking the tune in some different, like some direction. And so it starts to give it some shape. And then if it's a four-parter, your fourth part is going to bring it home and provide that interest at the end. And the third part, it's a question mark. Where does the composer want to go? And a lot of times, I think like a lot of times it is probably just that, like, the third part is an opportunity to dig in, almost reprise that first part idea, but make it a little bit more like, I don't know, maybe this is something West Coasters would say, make it a little more crunchy, like some challenge, some technical challenge, maybe. So that's probably the maybe subconscious thought process that's happening for a lot of composers who write those tricky third parts.
Interesting. Micah, you wrote possibly the most iconic third part of all time.
That I don't know about that. Yeah. What about a third part of Susan McLeod, I think is pretty with all those burls, right?
No, it doesn't. It's just not the same. Anyway, but I guess my point is, can you show us the tune? We want to hear the tune.
Yeah, yeah. Give me just a quick second. Let me dig my practice chant out.
All right.
Yeah.
Take your time.
I'm going to quickly answer a few of these other questions like, Andrew, do you use MuseScore 4? Yes.
Yes.
I think that was the only one. But that was an easy question.
Beach. It's a beach.
Yeah.
She's at the beach.
Tony's back
Tony's
at the beach.
Yep, Tony's at the beach.
Sometimes Tony's really at the beach too.
I know. All right. Now, Micah, you might have to turn on your original sound on the old.
Oh, let me do the original sound. That's a good idea. All right. We'll give this a shot here. So you want the green monster, right?
Yeah, we want you to play the hits.
Oh, what's going on here?
Nice.
Very nice.
Thank you, Micah.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for wanting to hear the tune, getting me to play the practice. I don't normally play this early, so I appreciate that.
Good job keeping focus too, not letting yourself get distracted.
Yes, thank you. My son Malcolm he's got a tune in the book, by the way. It's for mandolin, but yeah, he's got a tune in the book, and he is definitely an inspiration in life and in composing as well. But he's a fan of bagpipes. He's often wearing his noise-canceling headphones and playing on the floor while I got the big pipes out and stuff. So he's a big fan of my piping.
Beach.
Yep, the beach is still there.
Yeah.
I wish I was in outer space. Like yeah, I'm often in outer space, but not today.
Yeah.
Do your band members use a projector for band practices? And if so, which one do you use?
Ooh. I would say, sure, why not? But whatever is cheapest. There's no right answer here. There's no wrong answer either.
The projector's a great the projector's a great thing. And in the SFU days, we used to practice at the university. And so there were always overhead projectors available. And so Terry Lee used to print out like the transparencies and throw stuff up on the screen for people to be able to sight read and try stuff at band, which is really cool. Now, since then, I've never really used a projector, and here's why. It's just too much of a pain in the butt. It takes longer to set up and to get focused and make it big enough for people to be able to see. And it never actually, like the little digital ones, they don't actually really work. They don't get big enough.
Yeah.
Like people don't appreciate how good an overhead projector is at its job. That's just another related tangent. Like that sucker takes a piece of paper sized thing and makes it enormous on the wall, like fairly effortlessly.
Oh, we used it this year in the workshop in Scotland. It was pretty handy.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah. But that was like something, but that's another example of like proper installation. And it
Well,
still did take a long
It
time
took
to
us
figure out
a
how to
couple of
use it.
Scottish engineers to make it work.
Yeah.
Like an hour.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a good idea. If you can do it, it's cool because it gets everyone to focus on the same thing. If you want to circle an embellishment that you're working on, you can do that and everyone has the same circle.
We take it for granted when we teach online because it's just so easy, but it wasn't always that easy in person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go for it if you find that easy and useful. Though band practice usually isn't for learning, band practice is usually for rehearsing. It depends on your band, right? But should be more for rehearsing, which means usually people have a good familiarity of the music or should. Yeah, Janet, usually. Exactly. Everything depends on the band. Yeah.
It depends. It depends.
And then some bands, yeah, might learn music at band. Why not?
Our hall has a
Alrighty.
TV. Yeah. So you could use a TV and hook up your computer to the TV. That could work. Yeah.
But whatever would be easiest for the person that needs to run it, Janet, would be the right answer. So whatever's cheap and available.
All right. Last question of the day. Is it possible to get promoted from grade 4 to grade 3 if you only enter 3 or 4 contests per year? The answer to this question is yes, it's possible, but no, it's not likely. So the way it's possible is if you play in these 3 or 4 contests and you absolutely obliterate everyone and all the judges are talking about how you don't
You're in
belong
the
in
wrong
grade
grade.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which can be done.
Yep.
Like for example, I remember Eric Vanderloo, who was a great piper, really good.
Just hadn't done solos.
He just never did solos before, and they told him to start in grade 4. And after one contest, they moved him to grade 2.
Yeah. He was just in the wrong grade.
He was
Like,
just, it was
he
just,
was
yeah.
playing in a grade 1 band and like super experienced piper. They
Yeah.
made him start in grade 4. It's like, all right.
In the USPBA, we actually have a new system in place for scoring solo contests, and it's built on a 5 appearance model. So the way you're going to get upgraded in the USPBA is to appear at least 5 light music events and at least 5 P-Rock events. In order to have any shot at being competitive in the standings, that's what you need. But yeah, 3 or 4, it's going to be tough to get upgraded, but it also probably depends where you're from. But then, yeah, if every time you appear, you get an above grade level, it's definitely possible. I wouldn't want to rely on that strategy though. Okay. We'll leave the rest of the questions for next week. And then just want to say thanks to Micah. And then Micah, do you have the link to that form for people to reach out to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me drop that in the chat once more, and I can also send it to you directly, Andrew, if you'd like to distribute it to folks. Here, I'll put it in the chat once again. And yeah, feel free to submit that and give me a few days to get back to you. Malcolm and I are going to go camping this weekend, so I won't be filling orders this weekend. But
Nice.
yeah, we're going to Mount Hood in Oregon. That's right. Yeah, thank you,
That'll be
everybody.
good fun. Enjoy. Thank you for coming along. Enjoy the hike and the outdoor time. That sounds really nice.